All glory, honor, and praise goes to the Most High Power Yahweh in the name of his Son, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. I put together a brief video explaining the condition of the quote-unquote minorities in the society, the so-called Black, Latinos, and Native Americans of Negroid and Taino descent, how they're constantly oppressed in the society. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. And how they're suffering from Stockholm syndrome by following the ways of their oppressors instead of being separate from them like the Lord commands us to do. Even to identify yourself as a minority truly shows the decayed estate of our people, because we identify ourselves as minorities when in fact melanated people make up the majority of the earth. We fail to realize that we come from royalty, that there were black kingdoms and rulers at one point, that there were Taino kingdoms, right? Being in America is a punishment for our people. It's not a place where we're supposed to really blend in and try to fit in, because the ultimate prophecy for this place is destruction. And the Lord doesn't want his people to be following the ways of their oppressors. We're supposed to be separate. Micah chapter 2, verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. Stockholm syndrome, psychological response wherein a captive begins to identify closely with his or her captors, as well as with their agenda and demands.
Young brother here referred to as the house Negro and the field Negro. Back during slavery, there was two kinds of slaves. The house Negro, they lived in the house with master. They dressed pretty good. They ate good because they ate his food, what he left. And they loved their master more than the master loved himself. They would give their life to save their master's house quicker than the master would. The house Negro, if the master said, we got a good house here, the house Negro said, yeah, we got a good house here. Whenever the master said we, he said we. If the master got sick, the house Negro would say, what's the matter, boss? We sick, we sick. And if you came to the house Negro and said, let's run away, let's escape, let's separate, that house Negro would look at you and say, man, you crazy. What you mean separate? Where is there a better house than this? Where can I wear better clothes than this? Where can I eat better food than this? That was that house Negro. This modern house Negro loves his master. He wants to live near him. He'll pay 3 times as much as the house is worth just to live near his master. And then brag about, I'm the only Negro out here. I'm the only one on my job. I'm the only one in this school. You're nothing but a house Negro. And if someone come to you right now and say, let's separate, you say the same thing that the house Negro said on the plantation. What you mean separate? From America? This good white man? Where you gonna get a better job than you get here? I mean, this is what you say. On that same plantation, there was the field Negro. The field Negro was beaten from morning till night. He lived in a shack, in a hut. He wore cast-off clothes. And he hated his master. I say he hated his master. He was intelligent. That house Negro loved his master. When the house caught on fire, he didn't try and put it out. That field Negro prayed for a wind, for a breeze. If someone come to the field Negro and said, let's separate, let's run, he didn't say, where are we going? He said, any place is better than here. You got field Negroes in America today. I'm a field Negro. When they see this man's house on fire, you don't hear these little Negroes talking about our government is in trouble. They say the government is in trouble. Imagine a Negro, our government. That's a Negro that's out of his mind. Just as the slave master in that day used Tom, the house Negro, to keep the field Negroes in check, the same old slave master today has Negroes who are nothing but modern Uncle Toms, 20th century Uncle Toms, to keep you and me in check, keep us under control, keep us passive and peaceful and nonviolent. That's Tom making you nonviolent. It's like when you go to the dentist and the man is going to take your tooth. You're going to fight him when he start pulling. So they squirt some stuff in your jaw called Novocaine to make you think they're not doing anything to you. So you sit there, and because you got all that Novocaine in your jaw, you suffer peacefully. Blood running all down your jaw. And you don't know what's happening because someone has taught you to suffer peacefully. The white man do the same thing to you in the street. When he want to put knots on your head and take advantage of you and don't have to be afraid of you fighting back, to keep you from fighting back, he get these old religious Uncle Toms to teach you and me. They're just like Novocaine, suffer peacefully. Don't stop suffering, just suffer peacefully. It's just like when you got some coffee that's too black, which means it's too strong. What you do, you integrate it with cream. You make it weak. It used to be strong, it becomes weak. It used to wake you up, now it'll put you to sleep. They joined it. They didn't integrate it, they infiltrated it. They joined it, became a part of it, took it over. And as they took it over, it lost its militancy. They ceased to be angry. They ceased to be hot. They ceased to be uncompromising. Why, it even ceased to be a march. It became a picnic, a circus.
It's your girl, Shayna.
Exodus chapter 23, verse 2. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. And that's what you see our people doing. They're going out in these marches, these protests, and they think that they're doing a good thing. Their conscience is clear on why they're doing it, but they're fighting the wrong fight because that movement is really just the LGBTQ movement. And now you really forget the true reason why people are even angry and upset. That has been altogether forgotten. Psalm 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Assumed the presidency, his campaign strategist Lee Atwater was caught on tape explaining the Southern strategy.
In other words, you start out, now y'all aren't quoting me. Yes. All right, I won't hear. You start out in 1954 by saying nigger, nigger, nigger. By 1968, you can't say nigger. That hurts you, backfire. So you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, and all that stuff. And you're getting so abstract now. You're talking about cutting taxes, and all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things. And the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites.
COVID killed black people in this country at twice the rate of white people. The truth is, COVID killed Hispanic people at 1.5 times the rate of white people.
These things you're talking about are totally economic things, and the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites.
To address the health and economic disparities that mean this virus is hitting the black, Latino, Asian American, Pacific Islanders, Native American communities harder than white communities. Focusing on these communities is one of our priorities, not an afterthought.
These things you're talking about are totally economic things, and the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than white.
Psalm chapter 10, verse 8. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So again, the same things that have been targeted towards the so-called minorities are the same things that are here today, the eugenics program and what have you. Again, you can't trust the society because as a whole, you have to remember that you are in a war, whether you believe it or not. And now it's a biochemical war by trying to push these vaccines on the quote unquote minorities first. So be circumspect. And most importantly, I encourage brothers and sisters to start reading these scriptures because the true answers for the liberation of your people are in here. With that, I say all glory, honor, and praise to the Most High Power, Yahweh, in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Peace and blessings to all the brothers that are out there doing the sincere work along with the sisters. Shalom.